Welcome to my review of the legendary animals that have released over the past few weeks in Red Dead Online. Today, I'm going to be doing like a pros, cons, as well as my thoughts overall, and we're going to rank the garments. Yes, indeed, from my least favorite to my best favorite, to my mostest favorites garments, and I'm sure you have no idea which one will be number one on my list. I'm sure you're like, gee, JB, I have no idea which one will be number one. I would never venture a guess. So anyways, without further ado, let us get started. By the way, you are welcome to go below in the comment section. Let me know some of your favorite garments, some of your favorite hunts, some of your least favorite garments, and least favorite hunts in the legendary animals, whether it's the free roams or the animal sighting missions. All right, so just want to let you know something. I don't exactly have the complete collection. There is one animal missing from my collection, the Ghost Panther, and I was so close to getting it the other night. Alas, I have not. But eventually, Ghost Panther, you will be added to my collection. That I promise. All right, so we're going to start at the bottom. Which of these garments sets was dead last on my list is the elk. Why the elk, you ask? Well, look at them antlers. Look how small these antlers are. They're so tiny. They're teeny tiny. Now, I don't expect them to be as big as, say, an actual elk in the game, but Rockstar, these antlers need to be a little bit bigger than what they currently are. But there are three variations. By the way, there's three variations of all these garments. As most of you know, all these legendary animals. The Katata, the Ozla, the Inman, or if I pronounce this, GB's drinking game, right? If you don't drink alcohol, drink a beverage. Like take a sip of soda, take a sip of water, or orange juice, or grapefruit juice. But for those of you that like to partake in adult beverages, well, take a sip of the beverage and poison of your choice, because I will probably mispronounce quite a few of these. My favorite of these is probably the Ozla. It looks really good. I like the red. The Katana was pretty nice, too, especially for those of us with the Prime Gaming link to the Rockstar Social Club, because all we had to do was go hunt this baby down and skin it, take it to Gus, and we got the garment for free. So at least there's that. The next garment on my list, which one is just above the elk at the bottom? Well, the beavers. I know there was a time in the game when they had the beaver unintentionally nerfed to where it would be good for like taking headshots. I think Rockstar quickly remedied that issue. But yeah, I just find the beaver garments to be ridiculous. I guess of the three, the night beaver is probably the nicer looking of the three. The only thing I will say I liked about the beavers was the occasional beaver army you had to face down in order to get the beaver army. Well, specifically the night beaver. I think I also ran into a beaver army against either the moon or the ZZ. I don't remember which one. I do know one of these managed to slip away into the water and disappeared on me, and that made me rather salty. So, yeah, the beavers, not exactly my favorite, but just above the elks when it comes to the overall ratings of the legendary animal garments. As we move on to, let's see, where are we going next? I'm just going to cycle through these till I find the one I want. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay, so the Bison garment. Shout out credit to J Rush, because he went into Red Dead Redemption 2 and he sent this image to me of a much better looking Bison garment that should have been used for the three Bison garments instead of what we ended up with. So I think three different variations of that would have been a lot more preferable than these. I just don't like them. Nowhere near as much as the Red Dead Redemption 2 version. And if you disagree with me, feel free and disagree below in the comment section. Now, I would say of these three, this one tasked me so much, the white buffalo, the white bison, because I spent a lot of time hunting a lot of these animals. Because I'm stubborn and I'm patient. That's a bad combination. And the first time, I underestimated its friends and they prevented me from getting the white buffalo, and it escaped. And I think the second time I got it, and then I fast traveled during a live stream, and guess what didn't make the trip? The white buffalo coat. So I guess it was the third or fourth time the charm that I finally got this and added it to my collection. And of course, that time I actually hauled ass all the way from the snow near Lake Isabella all the way down to Gus's Trapper Stand in Big Valley. I didn't even risk fast traveling on that occasion. So yeah, I have the Bison garments down near the bottom of the list, because I think if they had gone with the version that we just went over, courtesy of J-Rush from Red Dead Redemption 2 Story Mode, I think it would probably have been a little bit higher on my list. All right, so let us move on up the list ever so slowly to... Where are we going? Where are we going? It's a mystery. Oh, there we are. The Boars. Oh, what a boar. I know, that joke gets old. Now, these don't necessarily look bad, but it's kind of funny. Some people like them. Some people dislike them. They're somewhere in the middle when it comes to the garments. I guess my favorite would probably be the Aikahi coat. It looks okay. The Wakpa is all right. This one, I don't know. But overall, not really impressed with the boar coats. The missions were okay. The animal siding version didn't really give me too much trouble, except for the usual. If your horse gets too close to one of these legendaries, no matter what it is, even if it's a beaver or a boar or an elk or a buck, your horse will just buck you off for reasons. But overall, I didn't really care for the boar coats. So I definitely would put them right above the Bison on my overall list. I guess we're somewhere in the middle now in the rankings. So anyways, let us move up from the boars to the moose. The moose is on the loose. So, just like with all these garments, there were 3 mooses that were added to the game. And I think these are okay. The antlers for the moose could have been a little bit bigger, but at the same time, I felt like the proportion was a little bit better for the moose garment than for the elk garment. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind ridiculously large antlers for the elks or the moose. I don't care. I feel like it would have been funny as hell seeing players with huge moose antlers and huge elk antlers roaming around the game, even if there was some glitching going on. It's to be expected in an online game. Okay, so of these, which one? I guess I could say the night coat was probably my favorite with the golden antlers. By the way, the night moose is one of quite a few legendary animals that I hunted down, I killed, and then shortly after I skinned it, the game disconnected on me. Thank you, Rockstar. Very cool. So this is one of many examples that I will cite where I was screwed over by the game DCing me. So I had to end up hunting the night moose twice. Yes, twice, in order to finally get the night coat. But the second time, just like I did with a few of these others, I quickly called up my hunting wagon, and the hunting wagon is a lifesaver when it comes to hunting legendary animals, because you never know when the game is going to DC on you, and that is a big reason why I believe the hunting wagon is a good thing to have. Now, the snowflake moose took me forever to get. I rode around the ice lake forever. Finally, it spawned, and it was chasing me for a good while before I finally killed it. The ruddy moose was it was pretty easy. It looks like a standard moose, which is fine. Nothing really special about it. Its animal sighting mission was fairly easy to do. You just tracked it a little bit of tracking, not too much tracking. You fought off some poachers, and then you could either sedate it or kill it. But, you know, I keep it up in the, I guess, the middle of the ranking when it comes to the garments as we move up from the moose to the... I know. The coyotes. Yes, the coyotes are next on my list, right above the moose. And we had 3 different versions, the red streak, the midnight paw, as well as the milk. Now, the milk was an animal sighting one, and it was laziness. It was extremely easy to get the milk coyote for the animal sighting mission. This one and the banded gator were 2 of the laziest animal sighting missions that Rockstar put out, because it was very easy to acquire the milk coyote or the banded gator. But I mean, personally, I kind of like the coyotes. They're not my favorite, But I would say that of the three, I think the Midnight Paw looks okay. So does the Red Streak. The only cool thing about the milk coat is it's pretty easy to get through the animal sightings and Harriet if she doesn't spray you first. And it also has some nice blue eyes, you know. So, well, there's that. But anyways, that's the Coyotes. Along with the next one, the Bears. The Bears. That's right. Sorry, Fat. Not sorry. Yes, Legendary Bears were eventually added to the game. And for the most part, they're okay. I kind of wish they would have allowed some of these animals to be worn as just a hat, because there is a actual hat in Red Dead Redemption 2 story mode, a bear hat. Some of the NPCs wear it. I think there's a bounty mission from one of the Skinner brothers. And then earlier on in the game, there's a guy at the bar in Valentine you could get in the fisticuffs with, and you can take his bear hat. Is it a bear hat? No. I think that's a raccoon hat. I could be mixing that one up. But there is a bear hat in Red Dead Redemption 2 story. And I think that's, for some of these, what they should have done is just given you the option to have like a hat instead of an entire full garment. But just like with all these, there were three versions. The Oswa bear, the Ridgeback Spirit Bear, and the Golden Shower Bear. I mean, the Golden Spirit Bear. This is Red's personal favorite. I don't know why. I kind of like this one. I know some people make fun of it, but the hunting mission, this one dragged on for a while. There was quite a few little sightings you had to do. It got very boring very quickly. And this thing killed me quite a few times. And again, a lot of the legendary predators that went after me killed me quite a few times. Whether I included them in my short-lived hunt series or whenever I was just hunting them on my own or with friends and posse. But yeah, the bears, they were okay. I put them in the middle. They could have been better, but they could have also been worse. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, so the Golden Spirit Bear. All right, so let's move up from the Bears to where we going next on our list, the Foxes. The reason why the Foxes are a bit higher is because of the marble coat. This is easily the best looking of the fox coats. You have the cross coat, which is the animal siding one. This one looks all right. And then you have, not that, you have the Atta coat. This was actually, I believe, the very first legendary animal I encountered during the day one live stream of the Nationals update, but it got away. Eventually I found it, but yeah. So yeah, that's the Atta coat and the marble. I think this one looks pretty good. This one was difficult. A lot of us had a hard time getting this one. It took a while to spawn up there in the snow near Coulter, but it finally did. And it's weird. Once it spawns and you sedate it or kill it, then it seems to spawn on a more regular basis, because with Riley, yes, with Riley, our foxy girl Riley, yeah, she was not wanting to hunt it because she likes foxes, but this is kind of like her colors, black and white, black fox. So I got it for her. And it didn't take long for it to spawn for me to kill and give it to her so she could have her very own marble fox coat. Okay, so those are the foxes. As we move up to what is next on our list, the Gators. The Gator missions were quite interesting. The free roam ones were kind of interesting because at the time we didn't know how it was going to play out, because you had to go after the Tika Gator at night, then you had to go after the Sun Gator. I think it would also spawn sometimes at night as well. The weather and the time of days were not always accurate, and it was just another one of those issues. Personally, I guess the Tika Gator is the best looking one. The black scales, the red eyes. And both of these worked pretty much the same. They would have their own Gator army come after you, and you wouldn't see the dots, and they would just be charging you. And while you're trying to hunt the Tika or the Sun, you'd also have to deal with their friends, which could be a lot of fun. No, it wasn't. The Bandit Gator is probably my least favorite of the three, and it was also the animal sighting mission I mentioned a moment ago. Laziness, just like with the Milk Coyote on Rockstar's part, it was pretty simple to get this gator. We went to a spot right outside of Saint Denis. I think there's two different locations. And you sight a deer, or a spot, or maybe some debris, and then or is it eggs? A spot where they would have gator eggs. I think it was gator eggs. And all of a sudden, it would come out of the water, you'd run away, shoot at it, and then run away, shoot at it some more, then run away, shoot at it until it was dead. It was pretty easy to get the Bandit Gator. It was just It wasn't that hard. I don't want these legendary hunts to be easy, but I don't want them to be ridiculously long and drawn out. But yeah, the banded gator, least favorite of the gators. But overall, I do like the gator garments. They're further up on my list as we move up from the gators to the bucks. That's right, the bucks. That's not buck. That's not buck either, damn it. Okay, the buck stops here. Okay, so unlike the elks and the moose, the antlers for the bucks were actually more proportional to their size. And that's another reason why the bucks are higher on my list. The snow gator the snow coat looked really good for the snow buck, even though I will have one small grievance to Rockstar. If you're going to call something a snow buck and you're going to have it white looking, then you should have it up in the snow. And the snow buck was clearly not up in the snow. The shadow buck is probably my favorite of these coats. Plus, it's the easiest one to get because it was an animal sighting mission. And it was one of those missions that required a little bit of work, but not too much. It didn't draw out too long. So it was somewhere in that Goldilocks area and a happy medium. So I definitely preferred this one over the Spirit Bear, which I felt was drawn out a little too long. And it's definitely my favorite of the three buck pelts. The Mud Runner, it took me a while to finally get the Mud Runner or the snow ones to spawn, but eventually they did. But to be honest, of the three, I would say the Shadow Buck is my favorite of these coats. It's definitely a little bit higher on our list. It's in, I believe, the top 5. Yeah, we're in the top 5 now. So in 5th place, we have the Buck. Moving on to 4th place on our list. Where will 4th place lead us? To the Cougars. Yes, the Cougars. So my favorite is probably the Sapa Cougar. That one was an animal sighting. I think this was one where I also had a disconnect issue. And I had some friends help me, like Red, Kane, and I think that was them. Maybe Ben was there. Maybe Karunzi, a few others. If I forgot, yeah, I think Fashion may have been there. Maybe Rush. Some of you were there throughout these hunts. And if I forget you, I apologize. But of the 3 Cougar pelts, garments, I would say the Sapa is my favorite. But after the hunt, while I was on my way to Gus, I believe there was a disconnect. And so I had to eventually do the Sapa mission over again. But eventually I got the Sapa garment. My second favorite of the 3 is the Mazin. And this is one I think I did a video of. Now this one really pissed me off, right? Because I was roaming around the San Luis. It's a Cougar friend spawned. I killed it. You know, both the friends. And then I had a nice little fight with me and the Mazda Cougar. I killed it, finally, after it killed me a few times. I did a hunting video on that and a few others. And as I was hauling it off to Gus, guess what? Disconnect occurred. And it took me quite a while before I got a second chance at the Mazda. And just like I mentioned a moment ago, the second time, I spawned my hunting wagon as quickly as humanly possible. I wasn't going to take a chance. So that's my story regarding the Mazda Cougar. It took me a while to get the Agua Cougar as well. It was in the Great Plains. And it finally spawned, and it killed me a few times. I killed it. I did the same thing. I grabbed the hunting wagon as quickly as possible, got it to Gus, and got the garment. So the Cougar's in 4th place. Which means in 3rd place we have on our list the Panthers. Sadly, my collection, as of this video, is not complete. Eventually, the Ghost Panther will be mine. Ghost Panther, Cougar. There's actually a difference between the garments. I wish that on this list they were side by side. That way I could show you that there's a difference physically between the Cougar garments and the Panther garments, but there's a physical difference. Easily, I think most people's favorite is the Jaguar or the Iwakata Panther coat. This one was an animal sighting mission. Probably one of my favorite animal sighting missions because it was at night. It was foggy. It was creepy outside of Braithwaite down in Lemoyne. And this thing was a fierce fight, and it was my last hunt video I posted last week. Absolutely beautiful looking Jaguar garment, and this was actually the first legendary animal they teased early on, and it ironically became the last one to be dripped out just in time for Halloween. But this one's my favorite. The Nightwalker is pretty cool looking too, and a lot of people also like the Ghost Panther pelt as well, the garment. So that's a big reason why the Panther garment is right above the Cougar. As we move down to the Rams, I love the Rams. I think the Rams look awesome. The one grievance I'll say is the fact that the Rams were part of that early access BS between Rockstar and Sony. Therefore, it took at least a month for Microsoft over on Xbox players and PC players and Stadia players to get access to the legendary Ram animals and the garments. But this particular animal is in second place on my list. So the Panthers are in third, the Rams are in second, and my favorite is probably this one, the black and red Rutel Ram. And I did enjoy this legendary animal mission. I think this might have been the very first legendary animal sighting I actually did. So that one was pretty cool, and I think it looks really good. The chalk one, I think the chalk one's up in Amberino. So yeah, it looks all right. It looks kind of fearsome because it's all white. It looks kind of scary. The Gabbro, which is in free roam, but it's in a similar location as the Rutel. And this was the first free mode animal I actually killed on that day one live stream when the Natural Stroll came out. And at the time, a lot of us did not realize that you had to first and foremost skin the legendary animal and take the skinned pelt to Gus in order to get the garment, because I sold the Gabbro Ram whole to Gus, but I wasn't able to get access to the garment. I personally think that's BS, and later on in the video, it's going to be a con, because I think that when it comes to medium-sized animals like this, or large, I don't know if it counts as large or medium, but animals you just stole on horseback, they should be sellable to Gus. It doesn't matter if they've been skinned or if it's the whole thing. Gus should still be able to register that as a future garment purchase for you. I'm just saying, Rockstar. But yeah, in second place, I put the Rams, which means in first place, guess what? The Wolves. How many of you bet the Wolves? 99.999% of you? Wow, what a surprise. All right, so the Moonstone was the first one that Wolfus got. That's the name of my Red Dead Online character, because I like wolves. Wolf is my spirit animal. You know, it serves two purposes. There are times when it can be a pack animal where it works with a group, and there are times when you can go it alone, like a lone wolf. So I've always identified with the wolf throughout my life. In fact, I have a really nice bronze statue my grandfather gave me of a wolf. I still have it. But the Moonstone was the animal sighting one. It was pretty easy to get. I think there's different variations of the Moonstone mission. The Onyx is my personal favorite of the three, and this is the one you'll see Wolfus wear most of the time. And this one was the hardest one for a lot of players to get, but I don't think it was too difficult for me to acquire. It took some time, it took some patience, but I was able to get the Onyx coat, and it's absolutely beautiful. And this is what you will mostly see on my PS4 character, Wolfus. Now, the Emerald Wolf is another story entirely. I love the look of the Emerald Wolf. I love the green eyes. But, as some of my viewers and subscribers in Discord are aware of, it took me forever roaming around Kree's Run trying to find the Emerald Wolf. It took forever. I mean, that's the problem with me being stubborn and patient. Eventually, it paid off because finally it spawned for me, and I wasted no time taking out its friends and taking out the Emerald Wolf and getting that thing to Gus as quickly as possible. And fortunately for me, I got there fast enough, and I sold it, and I got the garment, because I think within less than 5 minutes, guess what's happened? A disconnect. So, yeah. So anyways, that is my ranking for the garments. First place goes to the Wolves. What a shock, GB. I am surprised that you picked the Wolves in first place. Yeah, I know. Shocking. Second place, Rams. Third place, Panthers. Cougars. Then Bucks, Gators, Foxes, Bears, Coyotes, Moose, Boar, Bison, Beaver. And in last place, the Elk. With them teeny tiny little antlers. So tiny. Now that I got my ranking out of the way, let's go over my pros, my cons, and final verdict for the legendary animals. By the way, you're welcome to once again rank the garments, the legendary animals, your favorites, your least favorites. as well as what you think they could have done better. By the way, this technically serves as a companion to both my naturalist review video as well as my improving legendary animals ideas videos that I did a while back. So first off, with the pros, we got over 40 legendary animals added to Red Dead Online courtesy of the naturalist update to hunt. Or there were options, and that's another pro. Most of us like to hunt them and kill them and skin them, but you didn't have to do that. You could simply hunt them, sedate them, and sample them, and sell those samples to Harriet. Or you could, for the animal field guide, you could study them and take photos of the legendary animals, which adds a degree of replayability for the legendary animals because you have options, whether it's killing them, skinning them, selling them to Gus, or even taking the legendary animal or the pelt or the hide of the legendary animal to our boy Crips at the camp and use that for materials towards the trader rolls. Definitely some pros regarding the legendary animals. There's a variety of things you can do with the legendary animals, whether it's simply just going to track them down with the blending tonic, sneaking up on them, getting an awesome photo of your expensive $500 plus advanced camera, or studying them for the animal field guide, sedating them, sampling them for Harriet, or hunting them like the rest of us tend to do for Gus so we can add their garments to our collection. The next pro was overall most of the hunts were pretty fun. I have a few examples. The Beaver armies were great. I loved that, especially when you had some friends and you were smart enough and you're like, you know what? We see a Beaver army. We're going to sedate these fools. We're going to get as many samples as possible. Then we're going to kill the legendary Beaver, and one of us will take that to Harriet. Actually, most of the time, we would just sedate the legendary Beavers because, as I might have mentioned, that garment didn't exactly end up at the top of my list. So it was better just to sample them. And, yeah, the Beaver armies were fun. I enjoyed that. It was just ridiculous having these armies of beavers just coming after you nonstop. The Moonstone Wolf was all right. It was fun. I kind of enjoyed that one. I think the Sapa Cougar, it was pretty good for the most part. It did run the risk of having too many searches to it, but I would say the Jaguar was probably one of my favorites. As I mentioned a moment ago, it was great down in Lemoyne, Braithwaite Manor. Foggy, eerie, creepy with this predator lurking in the woods, hunting down the Driscolls and anything else that came across its path. I loved going up against the Jaguar. The Routel Ram was a beautiful ram, so there are definitely hunts that I enjoyed doing solo as well as with friends, viewers, subscribers, posse members in Red Dead Online. But there were also cons regarding the legendary animals, and maybe this isn't entirely the legendary animals' fault, but it is Rockstar's fault and Red Dead Online's issue that it seems to have on a regular basis. The disconnects, they come and go, sometimes not as many. And then when the disconnects return, they return with a vengeance. And as I cited a few times throughout my hunts, I had quite a few disconnects that I have mentioned, like with the Maza Cougar, with some other ones, the Night Moose, closely after I finally got the Emerald Wolf. And I'm sure there's 2 or 3 more that I did mention earlier, or maybe I forgot. But the point is, I wasn't the only one that experienced disconnects while either hunting a legendary animal or shortly after acquiring the legendary animal while you were en route to delivering that legendary animal to one of Gus's trapper stands, which is why I think for animal hunters out there that go after the legendaries, you definitely need to invest in the hunting wagon. It's good for the trapper roll, the trader roll, trader, but it's good for the trader roll to gather materials for crypts. It's also great for securing those legendary pelts and hides for Gus if you have interest in having your own legendary garment collection. Absolutely a must. The next con is, like I mentioned a moment ago, some of the animal sightings through Harriet were just too easy, like the milk coyote as well as the banded gator. Others dragged on far too long, like, for example, the spirit bear. There's probably 1 or 2 other ones that had that same problem. There needed to be like a happy medium to them where you had to do a little bit of work, but not like a ridiculous amount of redundant search here, search there, search over there, follow this trail, follow that trail, before you finally got to your quarry. But at the same time, I don't exactly like the idea of the animal just being put out there, like the milk coyote was, or the banded gator was. It didn't really feel like those hunts were earned, in my honest opinion. And another con I'll say is revolved around the legendary animal, I guess, heads. You can only wear them with a specific coat or jacket. And some of them look pretty good, some of them don't. I really wish that Rockstar would have come up with a better way to do the legendary hides, similar to what I talked about a moment ago, whereas in Red Dead Redemption 2, that bison hide looked really cool. It's like a hood with the bison horns. That thing looked epic. That's what the 3 legendary bisons should have been, variations of that. But alas, they weren't. And I think that maybe they should have made it to where you just wear it like a hat, like a wolf hat on top of a duster, or just wear it without any clothes. Like if I wanted Wolfus to go running around butt naked, well, I think you at the very least have to wear like shorts or something. I don't know. But anyways, I think that it would have been nice if they would have done a better job with, I guess, the legendary crafted head and not attached it to these coats. Because I get used to it. It's not a big con for me personally, because some of them look all right, like Wolfus, the Onyx coat on the black coat. It looks okay, but some of them don't look as good. I just wish there was a bit more variety. Maybe if they, with the coats, the jackets, maybe if they had some different options to, like secondary options to choose from. Like you would pick out the coat, then you would say, okay, well, what color do you want your coat to be? Or what do you want to be on? That way you could have like a variety of different like Onyx outfits, a variety of different Shadowbuck options, a variety of different Ram options to choose from when it comes to the, I guess, the coat, the jacket, etc. Whether it's like a longer, shorter sleeve or different, I guess, fabrics like leather, whatnot. It would just been a good idea if they would have added a little bit more variety when it comes to the crafting of the garments and the variations. But unfortunately, what we got is what we got. The final con I'll mention is something I already went over a moment ago. The fact that there are certain legendary animals that you have to skin in order to sell to Gus in order to get a craftable item. I realize there's larger animals like the buffalo, the moose, the elk, where you have no choice but to skin those animals. But like with the wolves, the foxes, the coyotes, the bucks, as well as rams, etc., a lot of players go in probably just throwing the entire animal on the back of their horse or stowing it in their hunting wagon. By the way, don't do that if you intend to get a garment of this legendary animal or that animal. Make sure you skin the cougar, you skin the panther, you skin the wolf, you skin the ram, you skin that buck before you throw that pelt in your hunting wagon, because unfortunately, as I mentioned already, Gus will not craft a whole animal into a garment. And I think that that should have been an option when it came to the garments, because at the end of the day, why does it matter if you skinned it or not? Either way, Gus should be able to make a garment out of this animal or that animal, whether you skinned it or you didn't. But that's just a small issue, I suppose. But I guess it's important information that any legendary hunter should have before you start out on the hunt, because most people might not be aware of that. They may not know that you had to skin that ram or skin that cougar or wolf, buck, etc. if they really, really want that specific legendary garment. So there you go. That, for the most part, is my pros, my cons for the legendary animals. I guess you could say it's kind of a sequel to my naturalist role, or an addendum to my naturalist review video, as well as a companion for my improving legendary animal ideas video. My overall verdict regarding the legendary animals specifically is yes, there are some pretty easy missions in the animal sightings, and sometimes it's a lot more difficult for a legendary animal to spawn than it should be. And I'm not asking for it to be handed to you on a silver platter or tied up to a tree like a certain bear was, and a certain president that went out to hunt that bear. History. But at the same time, I do want challenge. I just don't want to be drawn out like with some of the legendary signing missions. I would like a happy medium. And at the same time, I don't really feel like the animal sightings, the legendary animals, had to be tied to the naturalist role. They could have been released in Red Dead Online as their own independent thing that happened to exist in the world, especially since the legendary animals, like so many other things in the game, are dynamics, similar to the gang hideouts, the moonshine revenue agents, etc. But at the same time, I am happy that Rockstar added 40 plus legendary animals to Red Dead Online for all of us hunters to go after, all you naturalists to sedate and sample and simp to harry it with, and for those of you that like using the advanced camera, getting your money's worth out of that $500 with the blended tonic, sneaking up on that Tatanka Bison. It's a beautiful bison, by the way. I think that was my favorite. I don't think I mentioned that, but I think it was my favorite of the bison, the Tatanka Bison, and just sneaking up on it and taking a nice, lovely photo of it and studying it and other legendary animals to work on the Animal Field Guide, which is basically copy pasta of the Animal Compendium from Red Dead Redemption 2 Story Mode. But overall, I really did enjoy hunting these 40 plus legendary animals. Hopefully, sooner or later, the Ghost Panther will once again respawn on me. Hopefully. Funny story near the end. So, I nearly got the Ghost Panther the other night. 2 Panthers spawned. I killed the Panthers, right? And I needed to stay in the area. And I was where I was supposed to be. But on the minimap, it never spawned. There was no golden question mark. There was no golden paw. I roamed around this area looking, and usually when it comes to legendary predator, they find you. They usually come after you after you've killed their friends. But the Ghost Panther never came after me, and I got an indication that the Ghost Panther had escaped. I guess you could say the Ghost Panther ghosted me. Anyways, your thoughts, your views, your opinions, your pros, your cons, and your least favorites, your favorite hunts, as well as your least favorite and favorite garments regarding the legendary animals. As always, welcome below in the comments section.